Stop feeding that blind beggar, Naomi. He is not your family. Monica Vale's voice cut across the sidewalk like a slap. The lunch crowd outside the small diner went silent. Naomi Carter froze with a paper plate in her hands. On it were 2 pieces of leftover chicken, half a roll, and a small cup of soup she had saved from her own meal break. Sitting near the bus stop was Isaiah Freeman, the poor blind beggar everyone avoided. His dark glasses covered his eyes. His old coat was damp from the morning rain. His walking cane rested across his knees. People stepped around him like he was trash in the street. Naomi swallowed hard. He has not eaten all day, she said softly. Monica laughed. She stood beside a shiny black SUV with 2 rich friends behind her, all dressed in expensive coats and perfect makeup. And that is your problem? A man in a designer suit chuckled. Poor girls love saving poor men. More laughter spread across the sidewalk. Naomi felt her face burn. She still wore her faded diner uniform. The name tag on her chest was scratched. Her shoes were old. Her purse strap had been tied together twice. Inside that purse were unpaid hospital bills for her mother, Evelyn Carter, and a final rent warning folded into a tiny square. But Naomi still held the plate steady. She still stepped toward Isaiah. Monica blocked her path. I asked you a question. Naomi lowered her eyes. Please move. Please. Monica repeated with a cruel smile. Listen to her. She speaks like she owns this street. The diner manager came outside, nervous and sweating. Naomi, just come back inside. Naomi looked at him with quiet hope. Maybe he would defend her. Maybe he would say she had done nothing wrong. But Monica turned toward him before he could speak. Do you allow your workers to give food away to beggars now? The manager's face changed instantly. Fear. Business fear. Rich customer fear. Naomi, he said weakly, you need to stop this. Naomi's throat tightened. It was my lunch. Monica stepped closer. No. It was charity theater. You wanted everyone to see how kind you are. Isaiah sat still near the bus stop, his head slightly lowered. But his fingers tightened around the wooden cane. Just once. Naomi noticed. A tiny movement. Controlled. Not helpless. For one strange second, she felt he was listening to more than their voices. He did not ask me for anything, Naomi said. I gave it because I wanted to. Monica's smile disappeared. Then give him your paycheck too. Laughter came again. Phones lifted. A teenager across the street started recording. A woman whispered, that waitress is always with that blind man. Another voice said, maybe she is using him for sympathy. Naomi's eyes filled with tears, but she did not let them fall yet. She walked around Monica and knelt beside Isaiah. Here, she whispered. Eat before it gets cold. Isaiah slowly lifted his face toward her voice. You are shaking, he said quietly. His voice was low. Calm. Too calm for a man everyone called broken. Naomi forced a small smile. I am fine. No, he said. You are not. Monica scoffed loudly. Now the beggar is comforting the waitress. Her rich friends laughed harder. The manager stepped forward and grabbed Naomi's wrist. Go inside. The plate tipped. Soup spilled onto Naomi's sleeve. She gasped softly, embarrassed. Isaiah's hand moved fast, catching the paper plate before it fell completely. Too fast. Too precise. Naomi stared at him. Blind men did not move like that. At least, not like that. Isaiah immediately lowered his hand again, as if he realized his mistake. Monica noticed too. Her eyes narrowed. Interesting. Naomi quickly stood between them. Leave him alone. Monica tilted her head. You are defending him now. He is a person. The sidewalk went silent for one sharp second. Isaiah's face changed behind the dark glasses. Something in those words touched him. Something old. Something buried. Monica pointed toward the diner door. You are fired. Naomi froze. What? The manager looked panicked. Miss Vale, I did not say, you want my family's catering contract or not. Monica snapped. The manager turned pale. Then he looked at Naomi with shame. I am sorry. Naomi's lips trembled. Please. My mother needs surgery. I cannot lose this job. Monica smiled again. Then maybe you should have chosen money over a street beggar. Naomi's pride cracked. She clutched her old purse and lowered her voice until it nearly disappeared. Please. I will work double shifts. I will pay for the food. Just do not take my job. Monica looked down at her like she was dirt. Begging suits you. The crowd went quiet again. Even some people looked uncomfortable now. But nobody helped. Nobody spoke. Isaiah slowly stood with his cane, unsteady but dignified. Do not punish her for kindness. Monica turned on him. And what will you do about it? Isaiah stayed silent. Naomi gently touched his arm. No. Please. It is fine. It is not fine, he said. His voice changed again. Deeper. Sharper. Monica's driver looked at Isaiah strangely, almost like he recognized the tone. Then a black luxury sedan stopped across the street. Inside, Marcus Hill watched through the tinted window, holding a phone to his ear. Isaiah heard the engine. His jaw tightened. Naomi did not notice. She was too busy picking up her small bag after the manager placed her apron inside it. Fired. Humiliated. Recorded. Left with nothing. She walked back to Isaiah and placed the last roll into his hand. I am sorry, she whispered. This is all I have left. Isaiah's fingers closed around the bread, then gently touched her wrist. Why are you still kind to me? Naomi looked at him through tears. Because nobody deserves to be hungry. For the first time, Isaiah's hidden ring slipped slightly from inside his torn glove. A gold crest flashed under the gray afternoon light. Across the street, Marcus Hill suddenly sat upright in the sedan. Monica saw the ring too. Her smile vanished. And Isaiah, still holding Naomi's wrist, whispered one sentence that made her heart stop. Naomi Carter, who taught you that name? Isaiah's fingers tightened around Naomi's wrist. The street noise faded for one strange second. Even Monica stopped smiling. Naomi Carter, Isaiah repeated softly. Who taught you that name? Naomi blinked in confusion. My mother. Isaiah's jaw moved slightly under the rain-soaked shadows. Across the street, Marcus Hill lowered his phone slowly inside the black sedan. He was staring directly at Naomi now. Not like a poor waitress. Like a missing piece. Monica stepped forward quickly. Enough of this. Her voice was sharp again. You are frightening her. Isaiah released Naomi's wrist at once. Calm again. Controlled again. The blind beggar mask returned to his face. I only asked a question, he said quietly. Naomi looked between them, confused and exhausted. Her eyes were still red from crying. Her old purse hung from her shoulder like dead weight. Inside it, the hospital bill for Evelyn Carter crumpled against a bottle of cheap pain medicine. Rain began falling harder. People slowly walked away, whispering. But some still watched from across the street. Phones still pointed toward Naomi. Poor girl lost her job for a beggar, somebody muttered. Monica folded her expensive coat tighter around herself. You enjoy attention too much, Naomi. Naomi lowered her eyes. I never asked anyone to look at me. Then stop acting like a saint. Isaiah turned his face slightly toward Monica's voice. Kindness is not acting. Monica's expression darkened instantly. Tiny silence. Tiny danger. Marcus noticed it too. Naomi stepped back carefully. I should go. Where? Monica asked coldly. Back to your tiny apartment. Back to your sick mother. Naomi froze. Monica smiled when she saw the pain hit. Yes. I know about your mother. Hospitals are expensive. Maybe feeding strangers was not smart after all. Naomi's lips trembled again. Please do not talk about her. Why not? Monica said. Everybody already knows you cannot even pay rent. Isaiah slowly stood again beside the bus stop bench. The rain hit his dark glasses. Enough. Monica laughed once. You keep defending her like you matter. Isaiah said nothing after that. But Naomi noticed his hand again. Strong. Steady. Not weak at all. A black umbrella suddenly appeared over Isaiah from behind. Marcus had crossed the street quietly. He spoke low enough for only Isaiah to hear. Sir, Isaiah slightly turned his head. Not now. Naomi heard the word sir. Her brows pulled together. Monica heard it too. Her eyes flashed with quick fear before she hid it. Marcus immediately corrected himself. Sorry. I meant, sir, the rain. Naomi looked at Marcus carefully now. His suit alone probably cost more than her entire apartment rent for 6 months. Why would a man like that care about a blind beggar? Isaiah lifted his cane slowly. Naomi. She looked at him. Did your mother ever speak about the Freeman family? Naomi shook her head carefully. No, but she hesitated. Just a little. Isaiah noticed immediately. Monica noticed too. See? Monica interrupted fast. Now he is filling her head with nonsense. Naomi looked down at the wet sidewalk. My mother used to mention one name when she had fever. Isaiah went still. Marcus looked up sharply. What name? Isaiah asked quietly. Naomi hesitated again. Her voice became smaller. Eleanor. Marcus and Isaiah exchanged a quick look. Monica stepped forward at once. Enough questions. She grabbed Naomi's arm hard enough to stop her. You need to leave before security removes you. Naomi pulled away gently. I already lost my job. What else do you want from me? Distance, Monica snapped. From him. Tiny hope flickered for one dangerous second when an older woman from the diner crowd suddenly spoke. The waitress did nothing wrong. Naomi looked up quickly. Someone believed her. Finally. But Monica turned toward the woman with icy calm. Would you like to explain that to the Freeman Foundation when your business contract disappears next month? The woman's face changed instantly. Fear replaced sympathy. She looked away. Silence again. Naomi's hope died just that fast. If you are watching this story right now, tell me where you are watching from, and tell me honestly, do you believe Naomi is hiding something, or do you believe she is the only honest person here? Marcus quietly opened the rear door of the black sedan. Inside, soft lights glowed against dark leather seats. Warm. Rich. Safe. Everything Naomi's world was not. Isaiah tilted his head toward her. You are cold. Naomi stepped back immediately. I do not need charity. This is not charity, Isaiah said. Then what is it? Naomi asked. Isaiah stayed silent too long. Monica saw the danger growing. Do not get into that car, she warned Naomi quickly. Rich people do not help girls like you unless they want something. Naomi looked at Isaiah again. Blind. Calm. Mysterious. Impossible to read. Then her cracked phone suddenly rang inside her purse. She answered fast. Mama? Evelyn Carter's weak voice shook through the speaker. Naomi, where are you? Naomi's face drained of color. What happened? Evelyn coughed hard. A man came asking questions, about your father. Isaiah's head snapped toward the phone instantly. Marcus froze beside the open car door. Monica's smile disappeared completely. And through the rain, Evelyn whispered one final sentence that made the entire sidewalk feel colder. Naomi, do not let anyone see the photograph. Naomi's hand started shaking around the phone. Rainwater slid down her sleeve while Evelyn coughed weakly through the cracked speaker. Mama, lock the door, Naomi whispered fast. Do not talk to anyone. Isaiah stood completely still beside the open car door. Marcus watched him carefully now. He knew that look. Isaiah only became silent like this when old memories returned. What photograph? Isaiah asked quietly. Naomi looked up instantly. Fear flashed across her face. Too much fear. Monica noticed it. There it is, she said sharply. I told everyone she was hiding something. Naomi backed away immediately. It is none of your business. If rich men suddenly appear around poor girls, Monica replied coldly, it becomes everybody's business. Evelyn's voice broke again through the phone. Naomi, they asked about your father, and the ring, the call suddenly cut off. Naomi froze. Mama? Nothing. Only static. Her chest tightened instantly. No, no, Isaiah turned toward Marcus without moving his face. Find the address. Marcus nodded once. Monica stepped in front of Naomi quickly. You are not dragging strangers into your family lies. Naomi's eyes filled again. My mother is sick. Then maybe you should have worried about that before feeding beggars every day. The words hit hard. Harder because people nearby were still listening. Still watching. Naomi lowered her face in shame. Isaiah spoke softly. Why did you help me? Naomi looked at him, confused by the question. What? You had no money. No protection. Still you fed me. Naomi swallowed painfully. Because nobody should eat alone. Silence. Even Marcus looked away for a second. Monica laughed under her breath. Beautiful words do not change reality. But Isaiah's fingers tightened slightly around the silver cane. Something inside him shifted. Naomi stepped backward again. I have to go. Where? Monica asked. To that leaking apartment. Naomi ignored her this time. She pulled her thin jacket tighter and hurried into the rain. Marcus immediately opened the rear car door wider for Isaiah. Should I follow her? Isaiah nodded slowly. At a distance. Monica's eyes widened slightly. Isaiah, this is ridiculous. He finally turned his face toward her. Calm. Controlled. Dangerous. You seem very interested in stopping questions. Monica forced a smile. I only care about your safety. Isaiah said nothing. That silence scared her more than anger. 20 minutes later, Naomi climbed the cracked stairs of a rundown apartment building on the south side of the city. The hallway smelled like mold and old smoke. A flickering light buzzed above her head. She unlocked the door quickly. Evelyn Carter lay curled beneath two thin blankets on an old couch. Her coughing filled the room instantly. Naomi rushed to her side. Mama. Evelyn grabbed her hand tightly. Did anyone follow you? Naomi hesitated. Outside the building, a black sedan sat quietly beneath the broken streetlight. Marcus watched from inside while speaking softly into his phone. She lives in building 12. Third floor. No security. Isaiah listened in silence from the back seat. Naomi knelt beside her mother and reached for the medicine bottle. Empty. Again. Beside it sat unpaid hospital bills, overdue rent notices, and a shut-off warning for electricity. The tiny kitchen sink leaked steadily into a rusted bucket. Evelyn looked ashamed. I tried to hide the letters. Naomi forced a weak smile. I will fix it. With what money? Evelyn whispered. Naomi had no answer. Her diner uniform still smelled like coffee and rain. She no longer had a job. She no longer had enough for medicine. Yet she still pulled bread from her bag and broke the larger half for her mother first. Evelyn noticed. Tears filled her tired eyes. You always feed everybody before yourself. Naomi looked away quietly. You taught me that. A hard knock suddenly hit the apartment door. Both women jumped. Rent, a man shouted outside. You are already 2 weeks late. Naomi closed her eyes briefly. Evelyn started coughing harder from panic. Naomi opened the door slightly. The landlord looked past her shoulder into the apartment with disgust. Tomorrow morning, he warned. Or you are out. Naomi lowered her voice. Please. My mother is sick. Everybody has a story, he muttered before walking away. Naomi shut the door slowly. Silence filled the tiny apartment after his footsteps faded. Then Evelyn reached weakly beneath the couch cushion and pulled out a small faded photograph inside an old envelope. Naomi's face changed instantly. Mama, Evelyn pressed it into her hand. If something happens to me, do not let Monica Freeman get this. Naomi stared at the photo. A younger Evelyn stood beside a tall man in an expensive suit. And in the corner of the picture, barely visible beneath the fold, was the face of a little boy holding the exact same silver ring Isaiah wore on his hand. Naomi's breathing stopped for one dangerous second. Outside the apartment building, Marcus suddenly spoke into his phone again. Sir, you need to see this. Inside the black sedan, Isaiah slowly removed his dark glasses for the first time. And when Marcus sent the photograph to his phone, Isaiah whispered one name under his breath. Mother. Isaiah stared at the old photograph for a long time. Rain tapped softly against the black car windows while Marcus waited in silence beside him. The little boy in the corner of the picture still wore the same silver family ring Isaiah carried every day. Same engraving. Same mark. Isaiah's fingers slowly tightened around the phone. Where did Evelyn Carter get this? He asked quietly. Marcus shook his head. I checked public records already. There is almost nothing on her. Somebody erased parts of the file years ago. Isaiah's jaw hardened slightly. People only erase records when they fear the truth. Upstairs, Naomi carefully folded the photograph back into the envelope. Her hands would not stop shaking. Evelyn coughed weakly against the thin pillow. You should have burned it years ago, she whispered. Naomi looked exhausted. You said it was the only thing father left behind. Evelyn turned her face away instantly. Too fast. Too nervous. Naomi noticed. Mama, who is the man in the picture? Before Evelyn could answer, another hard knock hit the apartment door. Naomi froze again. Fear returned immediately. She opened the door slowly. Marcus stood there alone in a dark coat. Calm. Professional. Mr. Isaiah would like to ask a few questions. Naomi stepped back instantly. I already caused enough trouble. Marcus lowered his voice. Your mother's medicine has been paid for tonight. Naomi's eyes widened. Behind her, Evelyn looked shocked too. Why? Naomi whispered. Marcus glanced briefly toward the envelope in her hand. Because some people are beginning to believe your story matters. 20 minutes later, Naomi sat nervously inside a private hospital waiting room she had never imagined entering. White marble floors. Quiet lights. Expensive paintings. Security guards standing silently near the elevators. Her faded diner uniform looked painfully out of place there. She kept hiding her worn shoes beneath the chair. Isaiah sat across from her. Still blind. Still calm. But listening to every breath she took. Between them rested the old photograph. "Who gave you this?" Isaiah asked. Naomi swallowed carefully. "My mother." "And your father?" Silence. Naomi lowered her eyes. "I never knew him." Isaiah touched the edge of the photograph slowly. "This ring belonged to my family 30 years ago." Naomi looked up immediately. Marcus watched her reaction carefully. Real confusion. Real fear. Not acting. Isaiah continued softly. "The boy in this picture is me." Naomi stopped breathing for a second. Down the hallway, Monica stood hidden near the corner wall. Listening. Her face slowly lost color. She immediately pulled out her phone. "They found the photograph," she whispered sharply into the receiver. "Fix this before Isaiah learns everything." Back inside the waiting room, Isaiah asked another quiet question. "Why did your mother hide this all these years?" Naomi shook her head weakly. "She never told me anything. Only that rich people destroy poor people who know too much." Silence filled the room after that sentence. Isaiah leaned back slowly. Something inside him clearly hurt now. Marcus suddenly entered with an old hospital file box. "Sir, records from St. Mary's maternity ward." Isaiah lifted his head immediately. "Open it." Marcus flipped carefully through yellowed papers. Birth forms. Missing signatures. Torn pages. Then he stopped suddenly. "Sir," Naomi's hands tightened together nervously. Marcus pulled out a damaged admission record. One name had been partially blacked out. Another page was missing completely. But one line remained visible. "Mother, Evelyn Carter. Emergency sponsor, Freeman Holdings Family Trust." Monica's breathing stopped outside the hallway. Isaiah's face became still. Too still. "Freeman Holdings," he repeated quietly. Naomi looked confused. "What does that mean?" Nobody answered immediately. Marcus opened another page. "There is also security footage listed from the same night. Archived." Tiny hope entered the room for the first time. Isaiah slowly turned toward Naomi. "You may have been lied to your entire life." Naomi's eyes filled instantly. "Please, do not give me false hope." Isaiah's voice softened for the first time. "I do not think hope is the dangerous thing here." Suddenly Marcus's phone buzzed loudly. He looked down. His expression changed immediately. "Sir, the archive footage was accessed 10 minutes ago." Isaiah's face hardened. "By who?" Marcus looked at the screen silently for one dangerous second. Then he answered quietly. "Monica Freeman." Silence crushed the room. Outside the hallway, Monica slowly backed away into the shadows while gripping her phone with trembling fingers. Inside the hospital room, Isaiah stood up slowly with his silver cane in hand. "Marcus," he said coldly, "do not let anyone leave this building." But before Marcus could move, the hospital lights suddenly flickered once. Then the security archive screen went completely black. And across the dark monitor, only one message remained glowing in red letters. "File deleted." The red warning on the black monitor reflected across Isaiah's face like a wound. "File deleted." Nobody in the hospital archive room moved for several seconds. Naomi slowly stepped backward. Fear returned instantly. Monica's voice suddenly echoed from the hallway behind them. Maybe now everybody understands the truth. Isaiah turned slowly toward her. Calm. Too calm. Monica crossed her arms tightly. Poor people fake stories every day for money. Naomi's eyes widened. That is not true. Then explain why every file connected to you disappears, Monica snapped sharply. Marcus looked furious now. The archive was accessed from your account. Monica laughed softly. And now your assistant is accusing me? More hospital staff had gathered near the doorway already. Nurses whispered. Security guards watched silently. Naomi felt their eyes landing on her again. Judging her again. Monica stepped closer. Elegant coat. Diamond earrings. Perfect smile. This girl followed Isaiah from the street. Suddenly she has secret photographs. Secret stories. Secret family claims. Naomi shook her head quickly. I never asked for any of this. But you stayed, Monica replied coldly. You enjoyed the attention. Silence crushed Naomi harder than the insult itself. Nobody defended her immediately. Isaiah remained still, listening carefully. Monica saw the hesitation in the room and pushed harder. Do you know what I think? She asked loudly. I think she used a sick old woman and fake documents to trap a blind man. The words hit like knives. Naomi's face collapsed instantly. Please, enough lies. Monica turned toward hospital security. Remove her from this floor. Two guards slowly stepped forward. Naomi grabbed the old envelope tightly against her chest. That picture belongs to my mother. Or belongs to whoever taught you this scam, Monica answered. Evelyn suddenly appeared weakly at the far end of the hallway in a wheelchair, pushed by a nervous nurse. Naomi. Naomi spun around in panic. Mama, why are you here? Evelyn's breathing looked terrible already. Monica's eyes narrowed instantly. Dangerous now. Perfect timing, she whispered bitterly. Bring the sick woman too. Naomi knelt beside her mother immediately. You should not have left the room. Evelyn grabbed Naomi's wrist tightly. Do not let them take the photograph. Monica heard every word. Her face changed for 1 second. Tiny. But Isaiah noticed. Interesting reaction, he said quietly. Monica forced another smile immediately. I react badly to manipulation. Marcus suddenly stepped closer to Isaiah and lowered his voice. Sir. I recovered one partial security backup before the deletion. Tiny Hope entered the room again. Monica heard that too. Panic flashed briefly through her eyes. Show it, Isaiah ordered calmly. Marcus opened the damaged file on his tablet. Grainy footage appeared. Hospital hallway. 26 years earlier. A younger Evelyn Carter crying beside a hospital room door. A tall woman in expensive clothing arguing with her. The video had no sound. But one detail froze the room completely. The elegant woman wore the exact same emerald bracelet Monica still wore tonight. Naomi looked up slowly. Monica's breathing became uneven. That proves nothing, she snapped instantly. Old jewelry means nothing. But the room had already changed. Nurses whispered again. Security guards exchanged looks now. One doctor quietly muttered, that is definitely her. Monica immediately pointed toward Naomi again. This is edited footage. Isaiah finally stood from his chair. Slow. Controlled. Dangerous. You seem terrified of unfinished evidence. Monica's voice rose sharply. Because this woman is lying. Naomi looked shattered. I do not even know what the truth is anymore. Evelyn suddenly started coughing violently beside her. The nurse panicked. Her oxygen is dropping. Naomi held her mother tightly while people stared from every direction again. Another humiliation. Another public collapse. Monica stepped backward toward the elevator slowly. This family will not be destroyed by a stranger. Isaiah lifted his face slightly. Family. Silence. Monica realized her mistake too late. Marcus looked at Isaiah immediately. Naomi looked confused. What family? Monica recovered quickly. I meant the company. But the damage was done. Isaiah's expression hardened. Marcus. Do not let Monica leave. Two guards blocked the elevator immediately. Monica's comm mask cracked for the first time. Her phone suddenly buzzed loudly in her purse. She ignored it. It buzzed again. Marcus grabbed it before she could stop him. One new message glowed across the screen. She still has the original letter. Monica's face lost all color. Naomi stared in confusion. What letter? Evelyn closed her eyes weakly in terror. And Isaiah slowly turned toward Naomi again before asking the question that made the entire hallway fall silent. Naomi, what else did your mother hide from us? Naomi, what else did your mother hide from us? Isaiah's voice stayed calm, but the entire hallway felt colder after he asked it. Naomi looked down at the envelope in her trembling hands. Evelyn closed her eyes weakly in the wheelchair. Do not, she whispered painfully. Monica stepped forward immediately. Enough secrets. Open it now. Marcus moved between her and Naomi at once. Step back. Monica forced a sharp laugh. Everybody suddenly trusts a waitress carrying stolen family stories. Naomi's eyes filled again, but this time she did not step backward. Slowly, carefully, she opened the envelope. Inside rested an old folded letter tied together with a faded blue ribbon. The paper looked fragile from age. Evelyn started crying quietly the moment Naomi touched it. Mama, Naomi whispered. What is this? Isaiah tilted his head slightly toward the sound of the paper unfolding. Read it. Naomi hesitated. Her voice shook badly as she opened the first page. To Evelyn, if anything happens to me, protect our son until I can return. Silence hit the hallway instantly. Nurses stopped moving. Even the guards looked stunned now. Naomi's breathing became uneven. Son. Monica snapped instantly. Anybody can fake an old letter. But Isaiah's face had changed already. Marcus slowly took the letter and examined the signature at the bottom. His eyes widened slightly. Sir, he lowered his voice carefully. The signature belongs to your older brother. Daniel Freeman. Naomi froze completely. Monica's face drained of color again. That is impossible, she whispered too quickly. Isaiah stood motionless beside the wheelchair. Daniel died 26 years ago. Evelyn finally looked up through tears. He did not abandon us. Monica spun toward her instantly. Do not speak another word. Her panic was visible now. Sharp. Ugly. Desperate. Marcus unfolded another page hidden inside the letter. A hospital bracelet slipped out and landed softly onto the floor. Naomi picked it up carefully. Tiny engraved numbers still remained visible. Marcus compared them against the damaged maternity records. His expression darkened immediately. They match. Public silence filled the hallway again. One nurse slowly covered her mouth. A doctor whispered softly, "Oh my God." Naomi looked completely lost. I do not understand any of this. Isaiah finally asked the question nobody wanted spoken aloud. Naomi, when is your birthday? Naomi answered quietly. August 17th. Marcus looked at the old hospital file again. Same date. Same year. Same ward. Isaiah's hand tightened around the silver cane. Tiny Hope entered the room like light breaking through smoke. Naomi looked between them nervously. "Why are you looking at me like that?" Monica suddenly grabbed the letter from Marcus violently. "This means nothing." The hallway exploded with shocked voices. Marcus immediately pulled the paper back before she could tear it. Isaiah's voice turned dangerously quiet. "You already knew about the letter." Monica froze. "Wrong move. Everybody saw it. I was protecting this family." "From what?" Isaiah asked softly. Monica had no answer fast enough. Naomi looked down at the old hospital bracelet again. Her fingers slowly stopped shaking. "Mama," she whispered painfully. "Who am I?" Evelyn burst into tears. Before she could answer, Marcus's phone buzzed loudly again. He looked down immediately. "Sir, the partial camera recovery finished." Isaiah turned sharply toward him. Marcus opened the restored footage. Grainy video filled the screen again. Hospital corridor. Same night. Same year. This time the angle was wider. Monica appeared clearly now, younger but unmistakable, taking a crying Evelyn away from the maternity room. Then another figure appeared carrying a newborn baby wrapped in a blue blanket. The nurse gasped loudly beside them. The blanket carried the Freeman family crest stitched into the corner. Monica lunged forward instantly. "Turn that off." Too late. Everybody had seen it. The hallway erupted into whispers. Naomi stared at the screen like her entire life had just cracked open. Isaiah remained completely silent for several seconds. Then he spoke softly. "That baby was never supposed to disappear. If you are watching this story right now, tell me in the comments. What do you think Monica is still hiding? And why was Naomi erased from the Freeman family records?" Monica slowly backed away toward the elevator again. Panic controlled every movement now. "You still do not have the final proof," she snapped desperately. Marcus looked down at the recovered file again. "Actually, there is one more attachment." Tiny Hope rose again. Then obstacle came immediately. The final attachment would not open. Password protected. Monica smiled weakly through her fear. "Without that file, you have nothing." But Isaiah slowly reached down and picked up the old hospital bracelet from Naomi's hand. His face became still again. "No," he said quietly. "Now we finally have something." Suddenly Evelyn grabbed Naomi's arm tightly and whispered one terrifying sentence into her ear. "Do not let Monica know where the second child is." Naomi's eyes widened in horror. And across the hallway, Monica heard every single word. Monica heard every word. Her face tightened instantly. "Second child," she repeated slowly. Naomi stepped backward beside Evelyn's wheelchair, confused and shaking again. Isaiah still held the old hospital bracelet tightly in one hand. "Marcus," he said quietly, "take Naomi somewhere safe." Monica snapped immediately. "Safe from who?" Nobody answered her. That silence frightened her more than anything else. Marcus carefully moved closer to Naomi. "Miss Naomi, please come with me." Naomi looked trapped between fear and exhaustion. "I do not even understand what is happening." Her voice cracked softly. "People like me do not belong in places like this." Isaiah turned his face slightly toward her voice. "You fed a blind stranger every day without asking for anything in return." The hallway fell silent again. Naomi froze completely. "How do you know that?" Isaiah did not answer immediately. Monica interrupted fast. "Because he investigated you. That is what rich men do." Her words sounded sharp, but panic was underneath now. Marcus gently picked up Naomi's torn bag from the hospital floor. Bills slipped halfway out again. Medicine receipts. Past due notices. A small lunch container wrapped in old paper. Isaiah heard the sound immediately. Your mother still needs treatment. Naomi lowered her eyes. The hospital gave us 2 more days. Tiny silence. Then Isaiah reached into his coat calmly. Marcus. Pay the remaining balance tonight. Naomi looked up instantly. Shock. Fear. Pride. No, everybody turned toward her. I did not help you for money. Her voice trembled badly now. I do not want charity. Isaiah nodded slowly. I know. That answer hit her harder than the money itself. Monica folded her arms tightly. This is absurd. She manipulated you from the beginning. Naomi flinched at the accusation automatically now, like somebody used to pain. But Isaiah's tone changed slightly. Colder. Enough. The word cut through the hallway immediately. Even Monica went quiet for 1 second. Marcus carefully handed Naomi the folded hospital receipts instead of taking them away. A small gesture. Respectful. Naomi looked at him uncertainly. No one had treated her gently in days. Evelyn suddenly started coughing violently again. Naomi dropped beside her instantly. Mama, breathe slowly. Isaiah listened carefully to the panic in Naomi's voice. Something shifted inside him. Old memory. Old pain. Naomi whispered the same sentence again. Breathe slowly. I am here. Isaiah's hand tightened slightly around the cane. His face changed. 26 years earlier, someone else had spoken those exact same words beside a hospital bed. Monica noticed his reaction immediately. Fear flashed across her face again. We should leave, she said quickly. This girl is confusing everybody. Marcus quietly disagreed. Sir, there is something else. He held up the restored footage again. Naomi stood frozen as the screen replayed the image of the blue blanket with the Freeman crest. Her breathing became shallow. Why would a poor baby have that, she whispered softly. Nobody answered. Tiny hope entered the room again. Small. Fragile. Dangerous. Isaiah stepped closer toward Naomi for the first time. Not too close. Just enough. Did your mother ever tell you about your father? Naomi shook her head slowly. She only said somebody powerful ruined our lives. Monica instantly raised her voice again. Lies. But now the nurses were staring at Monica instead of Naomi. The room was changing. Slowly. Painfully. Naomi noticed it too. For the first time, somebody was not looking at her with disgust. Isaiah carefully removed his coat and placed it over Evelyn's shoulders. Simple. Quiet. Protective. Naomi stared at him in disbelief. Why are you helping us? Isaiah paused before answering. Because somebody spent years making sure you stayed invisible. Silence again. Emotional. Heavy. Then obstacle arrived immediately. One of the hospital administrators hurried into the hallway nervously. Mr. Freeman, your sister already contacted the board. Monica's lips curled slightly. This hospital cannot keep unpaid patients without authorization. Naomi's face collapsed again. Please, she whispered. Do not send my mother away tonight. Isaiah turned slowly toward the administrator. Nobody moves her. Monica stepped closer angrily. You are risking this family for a stranger. Then Evelyn suddenly grabbed Isaiah's wrist weakly. Her tired eyes filled with tears. You promised your brother, she whispered painfully. Isaiah froze completely. Marcus looked stunned. Naomi looked between them in confusion. Monica's face lost all color now. Evelyn, she hissed quietly, stop talking. But Evelyn kept crying softly. You promised Daniel you would protect the children. The hallway became completely silent. Isaiah slowly lowered himself beside Evelyn's wheelchair. Children? He asked carefully. Evelyn nodded weakly through tears. There were 2 babies that night. And across the hallway, Monica realized the final secret was getting closer. 2 babies. Naomi whispered weakly. Her fingers tightened around the torn strap of her old bag. Isaiah remained frozen beside Evelyn's wheelchair. Monica stepped backward slowly now, breathing harder than before. Evelyn is confused, she said quickly. She is sick. But Evelyn grabbed Isaiah's sleeve again with trembling fingers. I carried the secret too long, she whispered painfully. Daniel begged me to protect them. The hospital hallway became completely silent. Even the nurses stopped moving. Marcus slowly opened the old hospital file again. Inside was a faded photograph folded between missing pages. One side of the image had been torn away years earlier. Isaiah carefully took the photo into his hands. His breathing changed immediately. Naomi looked confused as he stared at the picture. It showed a young woman holding 2 newborn babies wrapped in identical blue blankets with the Freeman crest stitched into the corners. One baby's face was missing from the torn section. The other child wore a small silver bracelet. Naomi suddenly touched her own wrist instinctively. Empty now. But memory flashed across her face. My mother used to talk about a bracelet, she whispered softly. Monica interrupted sharply. Enough. Her voice cracked slightly this time. That picture proves nothing. Isaiah ignored her completely. Where did this photo come from? Marcus answered carefully. It was hidden inside the hospital archive under another patient name. Naomi stared at Evelyn in shock. Mama, what is happening? Evelyn started crying quietly. Your mother worked for the Freeman family, she whispered. She was not supposed to keep the babies. Naomi's face drained completely. Babies? Isaiah slowly lowered himself into a nearby chair. The weight of old memory was crushing him now. Daniel, he whispered under his breath. Evelyn nodded weakly. Your brother loved a poor woman. Monica closed her eyes instantly. Fear. Real fear now. Stop talking, she snapped again. But Isaiah finally looked directly at her. Calm. Dangerous. You already knew. Monica did not answer. Silence filled the hallway again. Emotional. Heavy. Naomi shook her head slowly. No. My mother never told me any of this. Evelyn reached weakly toward her. Because they threatened her. Marcus quietly slid another document across the wheelchair tray. Old hospital intake forms. 1 signature line missing. 1 birth certificate incomplete. 1 name blacked out. Isaiah stared at the date carefully. His hand trembled slightly for the first time. The same night Daniel disappeared, he said quietly. Naomi looked completely lost now. Why would rich people destroy lives over babies? Nobody answered immediately. Tiny hope appeared again inside the silence. Small. Fragile. Isaiah looked at Naomi differently now. Not pity. Recognition. Monica saw it instantly. She is manipulating you, she hissed desperately. Poor girls always know how to survive around wealthy men. Naomi flinched again like somebody slapped by words too many times. I never asked for any of this, she whispered. Isaiah's eyes never left the old photo. Neither did the children in this picture. Emotional silence hit the room again. Then Marcus carefully pointed toward the torn edge of the photo. Sir, somebody removed 1 face on purpose. Isaiah slowly looked up. Who had access to these archives? Before Marcus could answer, Monica interrupted loudly. This family buried those rumors years ago. That sentence changed everything. Isaiah's eyes narrowed immediately. Rumors? Monica realized her mistake too late. Naomi stared at her now with shaking breath. You knew my mother? Monica stepped backward again. No, Evelyn suddenly coughed violently. She threw your mother out, she whispered painfully. In the rain. The night after the birth. Naomi covered her mouth instantly as tears filled her eyes. Isaiah closed his eyes briefly. Old guilt. Old failure. Daniel never stopped searching, Evelyn continued weakly. Until the crash. The hallway went silent again. Even Monica looked shaken now. Marcus carefully unfolded the final paper inside the folder. Another faded document. A private transfer order signed years ago. One name visible clearly now. Monica Freeman. Tiny hope rose again. Naomi whispered through tears, so my mother was telling the truth. Isaiah looked directly at her. I think she was punished for loving the wrong family. But obstacle arrived immediately. One of the hospital lawyers entered the hallway nervously. Mr. Freeman, the board says these files cannot leave the building. Monica instantly recovered part of her confidence. Exactly. She pointed toward Naomi coldly. This girl is dragging old lies into our family. Naomi stepped backward again automatically. Fear returned fast. Familiar. Painful. Isaiah slowly stood up beside her. Quiet authority filled the hallway now. Nobody touches these records. Monica stared at him in disbelief. You would destroy this family over a servant's child? Isaiah's voice dropped lower. Colder. Maybe the family destroyed itself years ago. Silence exploded across the hallway again. Then Evelyn grabbed Naomi's hand weakly. There was another letter, she whispered. The one your mother hid before she died. Naomi froze instantly. Marcus looked up sharply. Monica's face lost all color again. Where is the letter? Isaiah asked carefully. Naomi's breathing became uneven. Slowly, painfully, she reached into the inner lining of her old torn bag. And Monica realized the final piece of the past had survived all these years. Naomi's trembling fingers moved slowly inside the torn lining of her old bag. The entire hospital hallway watched her now. Nurses. Lawyers. Security guards. Even strangers waiting outside the emergency room had stopped moving. Monica stood completely still beside the wall, but her eyes were burning with panic. Do not open that bag, she said sharply. Naomi froze for 1 second. Fear returned instantly. Familiar fear. The kind that had followed her entire life. Isaiah noticed it immediately. Let her speak, he said quietly. Quiet authority filled the hallway again. Naomi finally pulled out a small sealed envelope. Old. Yellowed. Water damaged around the edges. Evelyn started crying harder the moment she saw it. Your mother kept it all these years, she whispered weakly. Monica stepped forward fast. That letter belongs to the Freeman family. Naomi pulled the envelope against her chest immediately. Protective. Hurt. My mother died holding this, she whispered. It belongs to me. Silence crashed through the hallway again. Isaiah slowly reached out his hand. May I see it? Naomi hesitated. Long silence. Then she handed him the envelope carefully. Monica's breathing became uneven now. Do not believe anything inside, she snapped. Poor women lie when money is involved. Naomi flinched again at the insult. But this time Isaiah did not look away from Monica. You seem terrified of one old letter. Monica forced a cold smile. I am protecting this family. Marcus carefully opened the envelope under Isaiah's instruction. Inside was a folded handwritten letter and a faded photograph. The photo showed Daniel Freeman beside a young pregnant woman standing outside a small church. Daniel was smiling. One arm around her shoulders. Naomi stared at the image with shaking eyes. "That is my mother," she whispered. Monica immediately cut in again. "A staged picture proves nothing." But Marcus unfolded the letter slowly. His expression changed instantly. "Sir," Isaiah held out his hand. Marcus passed him the paper carefully. The hallway became completely silent as Isaiah read the first lines. His jaw tightened immediately. "If anything happens to me," he read softly, "protect our children from Monica." Monica's face turned pale instantly. "That is fake." Her voice cracked badly now. Naomi looked between them in confusion and fear. "Children," she whispered again. Isaiah kept reading silently. Every second made his face darker. Then obstacle arrived fast. Monica suddenly grabbed the letter from his hands. "This nonsense ends tonight." The paper nearly tore during the struggle. Gasps spread across the hallway. Naomi instinctively stepped forward. "Please do not destroy it." Monica turned toward the crowd immediately. "Smart. Dangerous. This girl forged documents to steal from our family." The hospital lawyer beside her nodded nervously. "The board cannot allow false claims against the Freeman estate." Social pressure exploded instantly. Whispers spread again. Phones lifted. A nurse stepped backward uncertainly. One man muttered, "Another gold digger." Naomi's face collapsed again under the weight of humiliation. "I never asked for money," she whispered painfully. But Monica kept pushing harder. "You fed a blind beggar for sympathy. Then suddenly he becomes a Freeman." Her laugh sounded sharp and cruel. "Convenient." Naomi's eyes filled with tears again. Yet she still stood there. Silent dignity. Isaiah watched carefully now. Listening more than speaking. Marcus leaned closer quietly. "Sir. Monica's statement does not match the archive records." Tiny hope appeared again. "Small. Dangerous." Isaiah looked toward the lawyer. "Who ordered the file transfer 26 years ago?" The lawyer avoided eye contact immediately. Monica interrupted fast. "Enough questions." Then she turned toward Naomi coldly. "Sign a statement saying your mother lied, and this can end peacefully." She pushed papers toward Naomi with shaking hands. Naomi stared at the document. A forced confession. Tears rolled down her face slowly now. "My mother suffered her entire life," she whispered. "I cannot bury her truth too." Emotional silence hit the hallway again. Even some nurses lowered their eyes now. Tiny hope rose again when a young orderly stepped forward nervously. "I saw another copy," he whispered quietly. Monica turned instantly. "What?" The orderly froze under her stare. Fear swallowed him immediately. "Nothing," he muttered. Obstacle again. The crowd shifted back toward Monica's control. Isaiah remained silent, but his eyes never left Monica now. Watching. Calculating. Then Evelyn suddenly started coughing violently again. Naomi rushed toward her immediately. During the confusion, Monica quietly slipped the original letter toward the hospital lawyer. Marcus noticed instantly. "Sir." Isaiah turned just in time to see the envelope disappearing into the lawyer's briefcase. Monica lifted her chin slightly. Victory returning to her face now. There is no proof left. Naomi looked shattered. Completely cornered again. The crowd slowly began turning away from her. Another poor woman buried by power. Another truth disappearing. Then the large hospital doors opened suddenly. Cold night air rushed inside. Everyone turned at once. A black SUV stopped outside the entrance. Marcus stared toward it immediately. "Sir," a young boy stepped out holding a tablet tightly against his chest. The same little boy who had disappeared after the hospital footage was restored. He looked terrified. But he walked straight toward Isaiah. "I copied the camera files before they erased them," he whispered. Monica's smile disappeared instantly. The little boy clutched the tablet against his chest as hospital security slowly closed the boardroom doors behind him. Rain tapped softly against the tall glass windows overlooking the city. Every seat around the long polished table was filled now. Hospital directors. Freeman family lawyers. Wealthy donors. Nurses from the emergency wing. Even the same guests who had mocked Naomi earlier stood whispering near the walls. The room felt heavy. Tight. Waiting. Monica adjusted her expensive white coat carefully, pretending calm. But her fingers shook once before she hid them. Isaiah noticed immediately. Naomi stood near the far end of the room beside Evelyn's wheelchair. Her faded sweater looked painfully small inside that cold room of polished marble and gold lighting. She lowered her eyes when people stared at her again. "Why is she still here?" one woman whispered. "Because lies travel faster than truth," another answered quietly. Isaiah stepped forward at last. Calm. Controlled. Dangerous in silence alone. "Nobody leaves this room," he said. Instant silence followed. The little boy slowly placed the tablet on the conference table. Monica laughed softly. "A child with a tablet will not destroy my name." Naomi flinched at Monica's voice again. Years of humiliation still lived inside her body. Isaiah looked toward Naomi briefly. "You do not need to be afraid tonight." Soft words. Small protection. But Naomi's eyes filled instantly anyway. She whispered carefully, "Every time I trusted someone, my family suffered." Isaiah did not answer immediately. He only pulled out the old photograph from his coat pocket and placed it beside the tablet. Daniel Freeman smiling beside Naomi's mother. The entire room leaned closer. Marcus entered carrying another file box. Thick. Dusty. Old hospital records tied with red tape. Monica's expression tightened again. "Those files were sealed years ago." Marcus answered calmly. "Not all copies were destroyed." Emotional tension spread across the room immediately. One nurse covered her mouth quietly. A wealthy donor lowered his phone slowly. Tiny hope started moving through the crowd now. Monica felt it too. She stood quickly. "This woman manipulated all of you with fake tears." She pointed directly at Naomi again. "She fed a blind beggar for attention. Nothing more." Naomi's face dropped in pain again. But before Monica could continue, Isaiah lifted one hand slightly. She stopped talking instantly. Quiet authority again. "You speak before evidence," he said coldly. Monica forced another smile. "Because I already know the truth." Isaiah stared directly into her eyes now. "That is exactly what worries me." Silence exploded through the room again. The little boy looked terrified beside the tablet. Marcus gently rested one hand on his shoulder. "You are safe." The boy nodded nervously. "I copied everything before they erased the hallway cameras." Several people gasped quietly. Monica turned pale for only 1 second before forcing another laugh. Edited videos prove nothing. Isaiah slowly picked up the remote control but did not press play yet. Tension stretched painfully through the room. Naomi looked ready to collapse from fear and exhaustion. Evelyn suddenly grabbed Naomi's hand weakly. "Your mother begged me to protect you," she whispered. Naomi froze completely. Tears rolled silently down her face now. Monica snapped instantly. "Stop poisoning her mind." Then she turned toward the board members desperately. "You all know what happens if this scandal spreads." Social pressure shifted again. Fear. Reputation. Wealth. The room started whispering louder. One board member muttered, "Maybe this should stay private." Another nodded nervously. Obstacle rising again. Naomi slowly stepped backward as if preparing to leave before things became worse. Isaiah noticed immediately. "She stays," he said firmly. Tiny hope returned again. If you are listening right now, comment who you believe deserves justice in this room, and what you think Monica is still hiding. The silence afterward felt even heavier. Marcus carefully untied the red tape around the final hospital records. One missing page remained hidden inside. Monica saw it instantly. Panic flashed across her face before she masked it again. "Those records are incomplete," she interrupted sharply. "Do not embarrass yourselves chasing old lies." Then she turned toward the little boy. "Child, tell them who paid you." The boy's hands started shaking violently. Fear spread across his face again. Obstacle. The room leaned back toward Monica's control for one dangerous moment. Naomi whispered softly toward the boy, "You do not have to suffer because of me." Her kindness stunned Isaiah again. Even now. Even broken. Monica noticed Isaiah watching Naomi. That frightened her more than the tablet itself. She stepped closer to Isaiah urgently. "If you play that video, you destroy this family forever." Isaiah finally looked at her fully. Maybe the family was destroyed a long time ago. The room fell completely silent. Marcus slid the final page from the hospital file slowly onto the table. A name was circled in red ink. Monica saw it and nearly lost her balance. At the same moment, the tablet screen lit up. Grainy hospital footage appeared frozen on the screen. Naomi's face. Monica's face. And someone else standing in the shadows that night. The little boy swallowed hard. "I am ready now," he whispered. Isaiah pressed one finger against the play button and looked at the entire room. "Before you judge her," he said quietly, "watch this." The grainy hospital footage flickered across the giant screen. Rain shadows moved softly over the boardroom walls while every eye stayed frozen on the video. Naomi stood trembling beside Evelyn's wheelchair. Isaiah remained completely still near the table, one hand resting beside the old photograph and the missing hospital records. Monica stared at the screen without blinking. The video showed the emergency hallway from 8 years earlier. Nurses rushed past. A younger Monica appeared near the maternity ward doors. Then another figure entered the frame slowly. Evelyn. The room gasped softly. "Pause it," one board member whispered. Isaiah did not move. The footage continued. Evelyn handed Monica a sealed envelope. Monica grabbed it quickly and looked around before hiding it inside her coat. Then the camera glitched. Silence swallowed the room immediately. What was inside that envelope? Isaiah asked quietly. Monica crossed her arms tightly. Old paperwork. Nothing more. Marcus opened the final hospital file slowly. "Then explain this." He lifted a yellowed birth registration form. Naomi's hands began shaking instantly. The name on the paper read, Naomi Bennett Freeman. Complete silence. Phones slowly lowered around the room. Wealthy donors stared at each other in shock. One nurse covered her mouth. Monica stepped forward sharply. "That document is fake." Marcus calmly slid another page beside it. DNA authorization forms. Hospital signatures. Evelyn's handwritten statement. "These records were hidden inside the abandoned maternity archive," he said. Isaiah finally looked toward Naomi again. Not with pity now. With recognition. Naomi could barely breathe. "Freeman," she whispered weakly. Evelyn's eyes filled with tears. "Your mother worked for this family," she said softly. "But she was never only a servant." Monica interrupted immediately. She is lying. Her voice cracked this time. Small. Afraid. The little boy suddenly pointed toward the paused screen. Zoom there. Marcus enlarged the footage carefully. The entire room leaned closer. A gold necklace appeared briefly around Monica's wrist. Naomi instinctively touched the same necklace hanging beneath her faded sweater. Gasps spread across the room again. Monica went pale instantly. Isaiah spoke without raising his voice. That necklace belonged to my brother's fiancée. Another silence. Heavy. Brutal. Naomi looked completely lost now. My mother told me never to sell it, she whispered. Even when we were starving. Monica laughed nervously. Jewelry proves nothing. But Evelyn suddenly raised her trembling hand. I watched you take the baby records that night, she said directly to Monica. I stayed silent because you threatened Naomi's mother. Shock moved visibly through the crowd now. One doctor slowly sat down again. Another board member whispered, My God, Monica pointed angrily at Evelyn. You were paid to keep quiet too. Evelyn did not flinch. No, she answered softly. I was ashamed. Emotional tension exploded across the room. Naomi's eyes flooded with tears again, but this time nobody laughed. Nobody whispered. People finally looked at her differently now. Not as a liar. Not as a beggar. Isaiah stepped toward the screen again. Calm. Controlled. There is more. He nodded once toward Marcus. The video resumed. Monica appeared again inside the maternity records office late that same night. She removed one page from Naomi's birth file. Then she burned another document inside a metal bin. The room erupted instantly. She destroyed the records. She knew all along. That poor girl, Monica shouted over the noise. You do not understand anything. Isaiah turned slowly toward her. Then explain why Naomi's legal surname was erased from every hospital document. Monica opened her mouth but no words came out. Tiny panic spread openly across her face now. The little boy swallowed hard and stepped forward again. There is one more file. He carefully handed Isaiah a folded letter found behind the damaged archive cabinet. Isaiah opened it slowly. His eyes darkened immediately. Read it, someone whispered. Isaiah looked directly at Naomi first. Your mother wrote this before she died. Naomi nearly collapsed hearing those words. Isaiah finally read aloud. If anything happens to me, tell my daughter the truth. She was born a freeman. Monica stole her future because she feared losing her place in this family. The room exploded into shocked silence again. Monica backed away slowly. Every eye turned toward her now. No escape left. No smile left. Naomi stared at the letter with trembling hands, finally understanding why her life had been buried under poverty and shame for so many years. Then Isaiah lifted the final page from the file box. His jaw tightened immediately. Marcus looked shaken too. What is it? One lawyer asked quietly. Isaiah stared directly at Monica. This document transfers part of the Freeman inheritance, his voice hardened. To Naomi. Monica's face drained completely white as the entire room turned toward her in horror. Monica's lips trembled as every person in the boardroom stared directly at her. The inheritance document still lay open on the table beside the old necklace, the burned hospital records, and the frozen camera footage. Nobody defended her anymore. Nobody looked away anymore. Naomi stood motionless beside Evelyn, tears sliding silently down her face as the truth settled over the room like heavy rain. Her entire life suddenly made sense. The hunger. The humiliation. The years of rejection. Isaiah slowly closed the file and looked directly at Monica. You erased her name, he said quietly. You stole her future. Monica shook her head violently. I protected this family. Her voice cracked now. Weak. Desperate. If people found out Daniel loved a servant girl, everything would have collapsed. Gasps spread again across the room. Naomi lowered her eyes instantly at the word servant. Old pain still lived inside her. But Isaiah stepped slightly closer to her this time. Protective. Controlled. She was never less than family, he answered coldly. Monica looked around the room searching for support. There was none left. One board member slowly removed his hospital badge and placed it on the table in front of her. Another director whispered, "You let an innocent woman suffer for years." Monica pointed toward Naomi desperately. "She should thank me. I gave her mother money." Evelyn's voice cut through the silence sharply. "You gave her silence money." Emotional shock rippled across the room again. The little boy looked up at Monica with tears in his eyes. "You said poor people never fight back." Monica looked completely trapped now. Her perfect image cracked apart in front of everyone. Isaiah nodded once toward Marcus. "Call the legal department," he ordered calmly. "Transfer every hospital record and archive copy to the investigation team tonight." Monica stepped backward immediately. "Isaiah, please," but he did not even look at her now. "Your authority inside this hospital ends today." Silence exploded across the room. Public shame settled over Monica instantly. Several wealthy donors quietly turned their chairs away from her. Nurses who once feared her finally lifted their heads again. One woman whispered softly, "Naomi was telling the truth the entire time." Naomi's body trembled harder hearing those words. For the first time in years. Somebody believed her without forcing her to beg first. Monica suddenly pointed at Naomi again. "One final attempt. She only fed you because she wanted money," she snapped toward Isaiah. "Do not pretend she is innocent." Isaiah slowly picked up the old necklace from the table. His eyes darkened with emotion. "A woman who shares food while starving herself does not deserve shame," he said quietly. "She deserves respect." Complete silence followed. Naomi covered her mouth instantly as tears broke free again. Evelyn reached for her hand weakly. "Your mother would be proud of you." Monica collapsed into a chair finally. Defeated. Broken by truth instead of violence. One lawyer stepped forward carefully. "Based on these records, Naomi Freeman is legally recognized as part of the Freeman family inheritance structure." Shock spread one final time across the room. Guests who once mocked Naomi now avoided her eyes completely. Phones stopped recording. Whispering stopped. Nobody laughed anymore. Isaiah turned toward the crowd slowly. "This woman was insulted inside this hospital while carrying the name many of you respect." His voice remained calm but heavy. "And every person who stayed silent helped bury the truth." Several people lowered their heads immediately. Naomi wiped her tears quickly, embarrassed by the attention. She still looked like the same exhausted woman from the rain outside. Same faded clothes. Same trembling hands. But now the room saw dignity instead of weakness. Marcus carefully handed Naomi the final legal file. Her real birth certificate rested inside. Naomi Bennett Freeman. She stared at it silently as if afraid touching it would make it disappear. "This belongs to you," Marcus said softly. Monica suddenly whispered weakly, "I never meant for this to happen." Naomi finally looked at her directly for the first time. No hatred. No revenge. Only pain. "But it did," she answered quietly. Those 3 words shattered the room harder than shouting ever could. Isaiah then removed his coat slowly and placed it around Naomi's shoulders. A quiet gesture. Gentle. Protective. "Your mother's apartment lease has been paid," he said softly. "Evelyn's treatment continues tonight." And nobody will force you back into the streets again. Naomi's lips trembled violently. She could not speak. Isaiah looked toward the massive board-room doors at the end of the hall. Beyond them waited the private Freeman residence overlooking the city lights. Warm lights glowed softly through the distant windows now. Then Isaiah extended his hand toward Naomi carefully. "Come home," he said quietly. "You are finally home." Naomi stood frozen beneath the warm lights of the Freeman mansion entrance while Isaiah's hand remained extended toward her. Rain still fell softly behind them, but for the first time in years, she was no longer standing outside in the cold. The giant doors slowly opened wider. Inside waited quiet music, golden light, and a home that once belonged to the family who erased her name. Naomi looked down at the legal file in her trembling hands again. Naomi Bennett Freeman. Her real name. Her real place. Tears blurred her vision immediately. "I do not belong here," she whispered weakly. Isaiah answered softly, "You always did." Emotional silence filled the doorway. Evelyn smiled gently from her wheelchair nearby. The little boy who protected the camera evidence held Naomi's old torn bag carefully against his chest. Nobody laughed at that bag anymore. Nobody looked at her with pity anymore. They looked at her with respect. Slowly, Naomi stepped inside. Her worn shoes touched polished marble floors once meant only for powerful people. But she did not walk like someone stealing comfort anymore. She walked carefully. Quietly. Like someone carrying years of pain while trying to believe peace was finally real. Isaiah stayed beside her without pressure. Without pride. Just steady protection. "Your mother used to stand in this hallway," Evelyn said softly. "She dreamed you would return one day without shame." Naomi covered her mouth instantly as tears escaped again. Near the staircase hung an old family photograph Isaiah had restored that same night. Naomi's mother stood beside Daniel Freeman smiling softly, wearing the same gold necklace Naomi now carried against her chest. The necklace no longer felt like a secret burden. It felt like truth finally breathing again. Days later, the city spoke about nothing except the hospital scandal. Monica lost her position quietly. Legal investigations began. The hospital board publicly restored Naomi's name and issued an apology for the humiliation she suffered. But inside the mansion, nobody celebrated loudly. Healing moved slowly there. Safely. Respectfully. Naomi's first request was not money. Not luxury. Not revenge. She asked for Evelyn's medical treatment to continue and for the little boy to receive school support. Isaiah watched her carefully after hearing that. "After everything they took from you, you still think about others first." Naomi lowered her eyes shyly. "I know how hunger feels." Quiet emotion passed across Isaiah's face again. Tiny. Deep. Real. Weeks later, Naomi moved into a small private suite inside the mansion overlooking the rainy city streets where she once walked alone carrying food to a blind beggar every night. Her room stayed simple despite the wealth around her. Fresh flowers near the window. Her mother's photograph beside the bed. The restored birth certificate carefully framed on the desk. One evening, Isaiah found Naomi sitting quietly in the mansion garden holding the old necklace under the soft lights. "You still wear it every day," he said gently. Naomi smiled faintly for the first time in the story. "It carried my mother's promise." Isaiah sat beside her slowly. "And now?" Naomi looked toward him carefully. "Now it reminds me that kindness was not wasted." Silence settled softly between them. Peaceful this time. No fear hiding inside it anymore. The little boy suddenly ran across the garden laughing loudly. "Miss Naomi," he shouted happily. "The chef made extra bread again." Naomi laughed through tears as he grabbed her hand excitedly. A sound nobody inside that mansion had heard from her before. Real joy. Evelyn watched from the balcony above with wet eyes and whispered softly, "She finally sounds free." Later that night, Naomi returned once more to the hospital entrance where she had once been humiliated in the rain. Same doors. Same city lights. But everything felt different now. One young cleaner recognized her immediately and lowered her head nervously. Naomi gently stopped her. "Do not bow to me," she said softly. "I was once standing exactly where you are." The young woman looked shocked. Naomi smiled kindly and handed her an umbrella before walking away beside Isaiah. No cameras followed her now. No crowd mocked her now. Only quiet dignity remained. As they reached the waiting car, Isaiah opened the door for her carefully. Naomi paused before entering. "Why did you trust me?" she asked softly. Isaiah looked at her for a long moment. "Because even when the world treated you like nothing, you still chose kindness." Naomi's eyes filled again. This time not from pain. From peace. The cars slowly disappeared into the glowing city night while rain washed the streets clean outside. And somewhere behind them, the old lies finally stayed buried forever. Because people may ignore the poor. They may mock the weak. They may bury the truth beneath money, power, and shame. But truth does not disappear. Kindness does not disappear. One day, what is hidden will stand in the light. And those who look down on the broken will finally understand, dignity was there all along.